Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and to every nook and cranny receiving that signal from our 100,000 watt transmitter going into every nook and cranny, reaching those boxes known as radios, aka the Howard Reynolds machines. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great program for you today. The rest of the world, good morning. Of course, receiving our signals via El Internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, designed by We the People, the government of the United States, funded by whom again? We the people, the ones who created it, the intellect that created it, we the people. And you know who dominates it today? A few billionaires. We've got to stop that. We've got to earn it back. And not earn it back, we got to take it back. Anyway, folks, before further ado, let's move on to El Estudio, where we have our two geniuses, El Señor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
We are going to take it back. Then we don't know what we're going to do with it.
We're already doing with it,
Jack.
We're going to spend it.
Look, folks, before we go to Jack, please remember, we are in early voting mode. This is our country, and we should vote in its best interest and in your best interest. And if you do that and you listen to truths, you know what your best interest is. You know what their best policies to have a better family, to be able to do for your own family, for yourselves and others. You know where the best policies come from. Anyway, Jacques, talk to me, my brother.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am fine, sir.
All right. I'm going to attempt to explain the Medicare Advantage scam here. Here's why Medicare Advantage is a scam. First, this is a deal George Bush made with big healthcare to undermine Medicare. You convince the client that they need a policy to cover the 20% Medicare doesn't pay. When you purchase the Medicare Advantage plan, what you've effectively done is hire a for-profit insurance company to administer your Medicare to you at a profit. It's the old bait and switch trick. Once they have flipped you, the client, to Medicare Advantage, they collect your premiums, plus you make your Medicare payment. Yes, there are no out-of-pocket expenses except for the 2 premiums. That's out of pocket. Then when you really get sick, they deny, delay, and put your health in jeopardy at a profit from denying your care. So all those people on Medicare Advantage, because they can afford to buy their insurance, undermine the poor who can't afford private insurance. The financially comfortable undermine the poor and working poor with this kind of a policy. So what it is, it's basically allows the insurance companies to use the Medicare funds as a bank account, basically, that they can pull out. Mm-hmm. So it's a total scam, and the sad thing is, the people that can afford Medicare Advantage, and don't even think about it. It's just another payment because they have the money. Well, what they're doing is they're still undermining Medicare, and the people who will suffer first are the poor or the ones that really get sick.
Brother Jack, thank you. Let me say this, okay? We have a basic problem in our country. And that is, we have effectively allowed a sect to lie to us and to make us forget something as simple as math. All insurance always does is pay a bill. And if you are being charged to pay a bill as opposed to not being charged to pay a bill, it will always cost less to not be charged to pay a bill. And welcome aboard, Paul Fleming in the chat from Atlanta, Georgia, and Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood. So this is important, folks. Think about it again. If I charge you to pay a bill, it costs you more than if I decide to pay the bill for you without charging you. But that's not how they want you to think. They being your plutocracy, the people who run the country behind the scenes. Because they want to have you believe that having insurance companies take the Medicare premiums that you have paid in all your life, and every working American pays 3% or so of their salaries to Medicare from the time you picked up and started working. Unlike Social Security, Medicare is paid on all of your income. Let me tell you a little dirty little secret, though. The rich have allowed Congress to define income in many different ways. And what they've done is, you notice sometimes we have a right winger that would come on and say, if you were to tax all the money out of the billionaires, all the income from billionaires, it'll last you 1 year. And I'm surprised it would last that long, because the billionaires' income doesn't come as income IRS classified like your income and my income, wages, etc. Their income comes from something called capital gains. Their incomes comes from borrowing from insurance companies and never paying it back, because they have tactics that says, if you are getting income from an insurance company, even if it's backed by your stock, that's not income, so you don't pay taxes on that. There are all kind of magical ways the rich uses to not let their income be considered income, right? So right wingers, open your ears now, my dear brothers and sisters, because they pull the big hoodwink on you. So when they come out and write a statistic that says, if we were to tax all the income of the rich, it would be done in one, and we'll still have to come back to the regular folks. That's not true. If all the rich owns more than 90% of all the wealth in the country, you have to be uneducated to believe that if they own all the wealth, how could they not own most of the income? Actually, they do own most of the income. Now, here's the thing. But because they classify income differently, things like Social Security, things like Medicare only goes on to generic income, regular wage income. And because it's only on that kind of wage income, the base that gets taxed is much smaller. Even though when I say, Social Security taxes end at $140-something thousand or somewhere in that vicinity. But Medicare taxes go on to all income, but all wage income. It doesn't apply to capital gains income or any of that kind of income. So therefore, we don't even collect as much as we should for Medicare. And then they want some more. What is that more? That more is to say, look, insurance companies never used to insure old people over 65. Why? Because they get sicker. It costs them more money. Their profit margin drops. So what they say is that to hell with old people. We're not going to insure them. And then the government said, okay, we'll create a program called Medicare. And instead of having Medicare for all, Medicare for everybody, they only have Medicare for old people. In other words, they allowed the insurance companies to continue ripping off the regular middle class, etc. And then because the insurance company did insure old people, the government said, okay, we will create a program that insures old people. I'm calling it old people as people that are 65, but 65 was still doing their stuff, man. All right. So the government decided to insure people that are 65. And then the parasites come in, our plutocracy, our oligarchy, our private companies that want to make money on you now. They come in and say, hey, the government is paying out, I don't know, on average, $9,000 on every old person for that Medicare program. Imagine if we could tell the government, hey, why don't you let us do it? All right, we'll do it and we'll charge an extra 20% or so. And we take the headaches away from you and we create Medicare Advantage. And by the way, government, you can't give dental. By the way, government, you can't give eye coverage. By the way, government, you can't give ears and you can't pay 100%. Leave all those perks to us. You're going to pay us to make a profit and to give those perks, but you can't do it. So if you notice, traditional Medicare is great. They pay for anything you want because anything you need for your health. That's what Medicare pays, minus 20%. And then you have to get a private insurance company to pay the other 20%. If we got rid of Medicare Advantage, your government, we the people, could pay the entire bill because it's costing us more than 20% more to have the private sector run your insurance. They don't tell you that specifically. If you want to find the data, it's there, but they won't tell you that. And to make more money, they even start doing the things like you have to have pre-authorization for anything that you want to do. You have to get the insurance company to say, okay, do it. And many times they simply delay or deny. Delay or deny. Delay with the expectation that you will die, or deny if they know you will live. Okay? That's what we have. That's our healthcare and Medicare system, Medicare Advantage system. Why? It's the reason I tell everybody who can do it, who can take care of buying their supplemental themselves, or who don't care leaving the 20% hanging or paying the 20% themselves. Get traditional, get standard, get the original Medicare. Do not get the privatized Medicare Advantage. It's a scam. And the scam is even getting deeper. I want you to listen to this. Yesterday, as I was playing and talking about Medicare Advantage and Medicare, and the reason I'm doing a whole lot of this right now is because this is a time when they try to get you, they bribe you to get Medicare Advantage. They take you out to dinner. They take you out to lunch. They lie to you and say, oh, buy Medicare Advantage. And then the person selling you the Medicare Advantage, they make $2,000-$3,000 for every person they sell that Medicare Advantage to. If they can make that kind of money, you can imagine how much a corporation is making. You can imagine what the corporation is making. So I have a video to play with a story. And what I'm trying to do is bring real stories of where Medicare Advantage has actually affected people. And it's even affecting unions now, because many unions, in order to save money, they've fallen for the hoodwink. They've fallen for the hoodwink. And when people realize that they've fallen for the hoodwink, by then it's too late. And they're stuck with lousy Medicare Advantage. All right, here we go. And we'll be right back. Tom, we were talking about Medicare versus Medicare Advantage. And I've been telling people all along, you should always get Medicare, traditional Medicare. Do not get Medicare Advantage. And what you placed in the chat surprised me. You said that you don't have a choice. Yeah. You have to take Medicare Advantage. What's the reason for that?
Well, it's not mine. I have regular Medicare but it's my partner, Elaine. She's been retired now for about, at least 20 years. But they recently, within the last 10 years, I believe, switched their programs to a Medicare Advantage. So there's no choice. You have choice of two different insurance companies that offer Medicare Advantage, but it's all Medicare Advantage. You have nothing. And I think you can elect not to take it, and then you're at the mercy of supplemental insurance programs or whatever. And then because of age and whatever and other qualification requirements, you'll be lucky to get any kind of coverage other than basic Medicare. So they basically have said, if you want a good retirement health insurance program under Medicare, you have to take Medicare Advantage. You have no choice. There's no choice. So
I'm glad you explained it that way. I am glad you explained it that way, because I think what you just said is so important. I think what happened, and tell me if I'm correct here, your wife was a part of a teachers union. Is that correct? That took care of paying her Medicare premiums. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And what happened
she pays something every month. But...
Right. But here's the deal. And for everybody that's listening to me, it's important that they hear this. Yes, the unions would do the best deal that they can, and they just like how the government was hoodwinked into supporting private insurance via Medicare for Medicare Advantage with your Medicare dollars. So is insurance companies. Insurance companies would have normally paid, because they promised you a low rate, they would have gotten the traditional Medicare and then they would have paid your Medigap. Well, they got a better deal somewhere that says, you know what? If we are going to pay your insurance, we got a better deal with Medicare Advantage, whether it's good insurance or not. We got a better deal with one of these two Medicare Advantage plans. But because you stayed with the union's policy, as soon as you turn 65, you have to go. If you did not take the union policy, you could have gone directly to Medicare and disregarded the union policy and bought your own Medigap and took traditional Medicare, in which case you would not have to go through the actuarial tables. But if you take the union's plan and you get older and sicker, and you decided, I don't want Medicare Advantage, I want traditional Medicare, because of the way the law is written, which is fraudulent in my opinion, you now have to requalify for not Medicare. You can get Medicare just fine. The 20%, you'll get the 80% just fine. The hospital and the doctors, you'll get that just fine. The problem is that 20% and the Part D. And that you have to go through the actuarial tables again at an older age. At 65, it is all the same for everybody, no matter what. But once you don't take it in the first 6 months, you're in trouble. And that is information that everybody needs to hear now. If you're a teacher or if you're in a union, that the union says they're going to pay your health care, get it if you can. Get it on your own. Get your Medicare. Say that again.
Right. Well, as far as I know, there was no information provided about the alternatives.
No, you're right.
Here's our plan. Yeah, right. They didn't tell her that. They didn't say you have the option of not taking this and then going to a Medicare, and then at 65, and then getting a supplemental that would stay the same. There was no choice. It was like, this is it. You have this. These are their plans. Two different companies, Medicare Advantage.
That's a danger.
The confusion. Yeah.
Well, the problem is this, Tom, and this is important, right? The problem is as soon as Elaine turned 65, she has to take out Medicare on her own, or would have had to take out Medicare on her own and Medigap on her own, because at that point you're fully under the government laws, right? But if you're under the insurance, then like every year you hear these, they try to get people who are currently on Medicare to switch to Medicare Advantage. Every year, that's what those TV advertisements are all about. And your union, in order to save money, they just did it, right? But in doing so, they also remove your security from Medigap, because now you fall under the actuarial tables.
Yeah, and now see, I'm telling her about what you've been saying about Medicare, and I said, well, you why don't you have a choice between one of these plans and taking your own? But then she can't do it because of this the problem with the supplemental. And see, that's what when Mike Cisak was saying, oh, you have a choice. It may be true initially you have a choice, but not once you get under this Medicare Advantage.
Exactly.
You're pretty much stuck with it. And that's what you have to understand.
Exactly. And that is why what we're doing here, Tom, and that's why I really wanted to get your story on, that we could actually make something, a real life story that people can see whenever we're advising them. Do not take Medicare Advantage. Go for the standard government Medicare and supplemental. Now, here's a caveat. There are some people that don't have a choice because they cannot afford the Medigap at all.
Right.
And that's just the country we live in. We are an evil healthcare system. And some people don't have a choice.
They don't. That's right. So, they may have a choice, but it's kind of a choice that, one that doesn't help them at all. It makes it even worse. So it's not really a choice. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. What I was advising, let me just real quick. What I was advising folks is a lot of doctors don't care about the 20%, but that is the thing you have to decide on your own. But thank you so kindly, Tom, for calling in, my brother.
Okay.
Have a great one.
Thank you, Egberto, for everything you do. You too.
Thank you, brother. Peace. Now, the reason I'm bringing this Medicare stuff all along is that the charlatanes are out there trying to sucker you, trying to hoodwink you. That's every time October around this time comes, they spend a whole month trying to get you off of your traditional Medicare / Medigap to go on to Medicare Advantage because they make a killing. They screw the taxpayer. They screw you because, again, when everything is working fine, when you don't need a lot of medical care, they don't mind paying a few dollars because, remember, they're making more than $8,000 every year. Medicare gives them $8,000 for you. And most people, they don't even spend $1,000 on them in a particular year. So they're profiting up the gazoo. Hightower, let me jump to Howard if he's there so he can explain how these different HD works and how you can get to it. Howard, are you still there or not?
I am right here, Egberto. Where else would I be?
Well, talk to me, brother. Let's give Carl and Duke want to know about Jim Hightower and HD, the high definition radio.
Okay, Jim Hightower. Well, they play him on let's see, one of the shows here, and he's also on HD2 after Tom Hartman. We do a Tom Hartman live broadcast, live satellite feed on Thursday and Friday starting at 11 o'clock, runs till 2, and Jim Hightower is on there. He's featured on there. What Progressive Forum also does Jim Hightower, so you do hear his comments on Progressive Forum. And the HD3 channel is a classic country station, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week of classic country, all of your favorites that you like and enjoy and grew up with. So that's a brief explanation of the HD channels, and I can't talk this morning for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, no problem. Look, thank you for that. So Jim Hightower is on HD as and sometimes on the regular 90.1 as just explained by Howard. But I also want to give Jim Hightower a plug. Jim Hightower also has a very, very good Substack that he writes several times a week. So consider going to Jim. Just do a Google search of Jim Hightower space Substack. He's a very good informer, whether it's here on KPFT or elsewhere. We have to keep this information circle complete. Look, I have another. Well, before I go there are a lot of folks that would tell me very often how much they love their Medicare Advantage. Nothing that you get from a company, from a corporation, is something that you should just blindly say, I love. Remember, they're not doing any of this for you. You know, your mom and pop bakery, your mom and pop grocery stores, they care about you. That's a bi-directional relationship. Yes, they want to make a profit, but they also want to serve you. A corporation is a different entity. But before I keep on my soapbox, I want to go to Joe. Come on in, Joe. Line number 2.
Good morning. I wanted to tell you my story. I was an HISD teacher. When I reached 65, I was ready to retire. I had been teaching for 35 years. I thought that was long enough. And then I started having to find out about Medicare and the insurance that the teachers program was providing for me. And what I discovered which was not easy to do. They don't make it easy to know the truth. But I found out that what the state was offering me for health coverage was a Medicare Advantage plan. And I already knew the disadvantages of Medicare Advantage. But what I also found out was if I had accepted, which, by the way, they said, if you don't accept this Medicare Advantage that we're offering you, you will never be able to get back into our healthcare system. Once you opt out, you're out. Never can you come back even as a former teacher, as a retired teacher. No, you can never come back to us. So I said, well, I want to find out more. And I found out that what they were offering me, I was no longer going to be able to see any of my doctors. I'm seen at Baylor. I have cancer. I have many other problems. And I already had established specialists that I needed to continue seeing. But under their plan, I was no longer going to be able to go to any of my doctors. Also, if I really got sick, I could not even go to any hospitals in the medical center. I live inside the loop, but I was going to have to go to Memorial Hermann Hospital, way out at Gesner and the freeway. I couldn't go to my hospital. I couldn't go to my doctors. I told them, take your plan and shove it. But what I had to do was find my own secondary insurance. I took regular Medicare, which I love. It covers almost everything. And then my 20% additional, my secondary, I purchased myself. Now, it's not been easy because there's a very high monthly premium. As a matter of fact, in the last couple of years, I have paid more for my premiums than my secondary insurance has paid for my care. Anyway, that's my story. And I think more people need to know what the state of Texas has done to teachers. They've given them a really raw deal. And HISD especially, I don't even get Social Security because HISD opted out of Social Security. So that's my story. Thank you.
Joe, notice I wanted you to tell your story uninterrupted because your story is the story of hundreds of thousands of Texans. Your story is the story of millions of Americans, ill-informed, misinformed by both the corporate structure and to some extent, even some of these unions who've made deals with the private sector providing insurance. And nobody could have told that story any better than the person who lived it. And in that case, it's you. Yes. What I want to congratulate you on is being forthright, and not just forthright, my dear, but also to go out there and find out on your own. Independent thinking saved your life. Because had you gone with that program and they provided you with substandard insurance and substandard quality of care, those of us that are listening to you today would not have had the privilege to be informed by your own experience. So I want to thank you so kindly for calling us, Joe, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks for your program.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, let's go ahead and go to Brother Johnny. Come on in, Johnny. Before Johnny, I want to give a big thank you to Sam. Thank you so kindly, Sam. Sam became a sustainer. And folks, we need more of you to call in as soon as you can before we close out the program. Remember, I didn't make it yesterday. You can allow me to make it today so that, management doesn't say politics done right. It's not, holding its own. Bye-bye. So give us a call, 713-526 5738, extension number 1. Or go to kpft.org and select donate, select Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting. Let's bring this baby home. Brother Johnny, my brother from another mother. Talk to me, sir.
Good morning, Brother Egberto. So your story and Joe's story, these stories are part and parcel of the privatization scheme that's ongoing by the Republicans, not just towards our health care, but our education system and our postal service system and anything else you can think of that's not nailed down. They want to make everything more expensive. Just think about it this way. The simplest way to understand what they're doing is they want to profitize, right? So why would education, for example, be more efficient when you put a profit element in there? That makes no sense with the current budget we have from our tax money. Why would we want to pay a so-called principal or a CEO of a high school, privatized high school or grade school, so they can have an advertising budget and they can have a CEO package and retirement package, and for office furniture, like in private for-profit insurance companies in the health industry, office furniture and fancy office space? We don't need to pay for any of that. If you take our monies, like we've been doing, out of our paycheck and funnel it directly to the government, and they hold that and they dispense it on our behalf when we need it, guess what? It's efficient. You don't need to advertise for that. The post office doesn't need to have TV advertising like they do now. These things, it's ridiculous. To use that money for advertising and CEO salaries tells you that there's less money available for education. They constantly lie to us, and they bamboozle us. And this has been going on well before they had those TV ads back in the day when Rick Perry was in the governor's mansion telling us, oh, yeah, we need to have the lottery in Texas. So this poor woman with her children in this closet, they can have books in a classroom. Remember that with a single light bulb hanging over them, that TV ad? Powerful image, right? That's
Absolutely.
What this is.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Got to go to some more, but thank you, brother. You're right. But before you go, I want to just point out something else that Joe talked about. And she said, the teachers union, the teachers are not in the Social Security system. They have their own retirement program. And you know what's so bad about that? Their retirement program, if I recall, doesn't give them the cost of living increases that Social Security gives every year, which is the right thing to do. If prices go up, so should your guaranteed income. But again, we do teachers so wrong in this country. The people who move our knowledge forward. You know what I think about teachers. Thank you, Johnny. Got to go to Richard. But before I go to Richard, go ahead.
One quick thing. I look at that. I look at what they do to teachers as a divide and conquer. When you think about it that way, instead of putting everybody in the pool, all people that work for a living, whether they teach, drive a truck, garbage truck, or they do lawyering or medical or nursing, they divide and conquer, just like they did to Bernie's package for infrastructure. Remember?
Yes, sir.
She caved, and she divided that bill into two bills, and then they whittled it down further. That's how they do.
All right, Johnny, thank you, but you're messing with some of my time to ask for folks to donate, man. What's wrong with you, brother? We'll talk later. All right. Hey, folks, please give us a call, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Please consider becoming a sustainer. Can you do $5 a month? Can you do $10 a month? But if you can't, can you just contribute, be a part of us, of what we do here, which is making sure folks are enlightened, folks are informed. That's what we do. Let's go to Richard. Come on in, Richard.
So how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, sir. Talk to me, brother.
Good. Hey, quick question. So I've heard you talk about the billionaires too many times, but anyway, and I don't necessarily agree because how they made their money is complex. So just simply to say they made it on somebody's back, a little bit too simplistic.
I tell you what, I tell you what, you made a comment that I think you need to expand on. Please tell me where you think it's more complex.
Well, I mean, people make money in the millions of ways. So to say that all of them maybe they've had real estate that they owned and it went up in value recently.
Okay, let's stop you right there. You gave a good example. real estate went up. In fact, the next subject that I have on hand today is to talk about real estate and what's happening to people. Don't you think that the appreciation of real estate is actually on your back as well?
I don't know. I mean,
and that's what I'm telling you.
To some degree, I mean, I'm happy that it went up, but
I got you. But what I'm saying, sir, is I don't just speak, my brother, I don't just speak in hyperboles, right? When I talk about for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And if something appreciates, right, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It actually has to mean that something else occurred that caused that appreciation, right? And that appreciation means that other people are going to pay more for it. When I talk about people make it, and so that is just one example that you gave, of course, of the appreciation of property, etc. When that occurs, somebody else pays for that. And when I talk about everything in our economic system is on the backs of others, it's really a state. It's not a conjecture. When I talk about a billionaire not making the money themselves, it's not a conjecture. It's actually a statement of fact. But I just wanted the audience to understand that this isn't something like I am against billionaires. I'm just saying the way the economy was designed, it is a predatory system. But I just wanted to clear that up. Tell me what you really wanted to talk about.
I mean, the reason I called is the question: how do you fix it?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. I am happy you asked that. First of all, I don't have all the answers because I'm not sufficiently qualified to have all the answers. The one thing that I do know is that there are those who are qualified to give that answer, but we have to give them the opportunity to do so. In other words, I have some answers, but not all at all. And I'm sure you have some answers as well, because you live your life experience is just as important as anybody else's life experiences. And when you see something that's wrong, there's something else that you always say, if I could do it X, Y, Z, it would be better. So if we took collectively the X, Y, Zs of everybody, especially with AI and all these kind of technologies now, we could actually come out with better answers than the predatory system that we have today. Don't you think?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. All I want is us to have the opportunity to fix things. But right now, the people who are in control don't even want to consider fixing things so that you and I can have a joyful life, if you will. Americans are the hardest workers on the planet. Americans work. I'm not talking about the slave labor in different parts of the world now, but I'm talking about in a structured environment. No other country work as hard as Americans work for the dollar that they make. And still they're struggling. Makes no sense. Anything else, Richard, before we move on?
Well, that's good. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, brother. All right, let's go to Jacob. Come on in, Jacob.
Well, did you just say that America is the hardest working country in the world? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding. I really am not kidding. I'm from Central America, brother. I'm from places that I'm telling you, these other countries, right? Jamaica, Panama, Nairobi, Kenya, all these people have a lot more leisure than we do here. I'm telling you, around the world, people.
I'm very familiar with around the world.
There you go, brother. So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm very familiar. Yeah.
So you understand what I'm saying?
Kind of, but it's. Well, I didn't really. I was called about. I was going to say about far as politics.
Yes, sir.
Usually, is Kamala in trouble? You're not talking about politics with
Kamala is not in trouble at all. In fact, if you take a look at the polls that just came out this morning, her favorability up 5, Trump's down by over 10. If you take a look at the polls in the swing states, she is up in 6 of the 8. If you take a look at whether the polls are skewed, when I say skewed, I mean who are the polls that brought her down in the last few days. They were pretty much right-wing polls. If you take a look at her movements with Liz Cheney yesterday with a whole lot of Republican groups. Right on the spot, many of the people that consider themselves on the fence decided that, nope, they're making the transition. So, no, Kamala is not in trouble. And in fact, I think it's going to be a bigger win than most people believe. Continue, brother.
Well, yesterday she said something about the Israeli. She had asked a question, and did she think that it's genocide what's going on over there by the Jewish people? Do she think it's genocide? And she said, yeah. And then they came out with a statement last night saying that she didn't believe in that. Now she can't win on either side of the fence with the Arabs. You know what I mean? If she tell the truth,
you're right. Wait, sir, you're right. Look, she is between a rock and a hard place, Jacob. You're absolutely right. And the truth of the matter is, I don't even have an answer for her there.
All right, man.
Thank you, brother. You have a great one, okay? All right, let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Good morning. I hope the fund drive is going well.
We're trying. Actually, thank you for saying that, Brian. Hold on a second, Brian. Folks, please give us a call. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Folks, we are behind. We only have 3 contributors for the day. We need at least 5 more. Please give me a call, 713-526-5738. Give whatever you can, $5 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month. Personally, I do this free of charge, but I am contributing $10 a month. And by the way, the last clunker that I had, I also gave to the station. So look, we speak what we're asking you to do. Even the volunteers here are doing it. So folks, please give us a call at 713-526-5738. Contribute whatever you can. But if you can, get the $100 Politics and Right t-shirt. Get the become a sustainer, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you can. All right, brother Brian, come on in. Oh, wait, 713-526-5738, extension 1, or kpft.org. Hit that donate button and select Politics and Right as a show. Talk to me, brother Brian.
Okay, you talked about real estate as being a form of making millionaires, right? Or billionaires.
Absolutely,
and then
yes, sir.
Okay, now you said you believe in a collective system. Now, why should I take the property that I've worked and no one else has and split it with someone who's never have? That's not fair.
I don't want you to do that at all. I wouldn't support that at all.
Okay, but that is a collective system.
No, sir. That is a collective, brother Brian. That is a collective system that the plutocrats that try to control your mind would have you believe. I believe in work. I believe in work, in getting paid commensurate with the work that you do. That's why when I spoke to you yesterday and you told me what you did as far as laying asphalt and resurfacing, I said, more than likely, you weren't paid what you were worth. So no, sir, I believe in people being paid their worth. But you know who's preventing people from getting paid their worth? The billionaires, because they are taking an inordinate portion of your work and your worth and your labor and your intellect. They are profiting from that. And that is what I'm trying to get you. I am not your enemy. I am your friend. I am your, I'm not going to get Trumpy on you and say I'm your protector, but I am actually your friend. I want what's best for you. It's the guys on top that's screwing you. But anyway, anything else, Brian?
Okay. In a capitalist system, you are free to make your own decisions in life.
No, you're not. No, that is not true at all. Let me explain, sir. No, sir. Capitalist system, it's an oxymoron. Think about this. In a capitalist system, what's required to get something done? What's required? Wrong. Capital. No, sir. No, capital. Let me, sir, as a businessman, let me explain this to you, okay? As a businessman, I can give you a combination of what happened here. As a businessman, I created a product. I wanted to move that product forward rapidly. I had to go to the stewards of capital to see if they would offer me that opportunity to get the capital to move my product forward. I was denied. I then had to find alternate ways, which I did at much higher interest rates, to move my product forward. Now, if a friend of mine who'd had not near the skills or experience, he got the capital. Everybody who believes capitalism is a thing that rugged individualism can move you forward doesn't understand how the system works. It's not a meritocracy. It's a matter of who the people on the top decide they will offer the opportunity to move forward easily. When you understand that, then you and I could speak on the same wavelength, Brian. But Brian, I got to give a station ID. This is KPFT 90. Hold on. I'm not letting you go. This is KPFT 90.1 FM, Houston. All right, Brian, make a statement before I go to David, and then I have to go to Sandy.
Okay. There's only been 10 million people that left a depressed economy in Mexico, Central America, and all over the world. It comes to what nation?
Absolutely. No, but Brian, think two things are not mutually.
So many move here?
Brian, they're not mutually exclusive. I moved to America because I believe in the American dream. Okay, there's no doubt about it. But not because I believe in the American dream doesn't mean that I want to make the dream more a better dream. Because as it is today, it needs a whole lot of fixing. America is a great country. Did I ever not say America is a great country because of the things that we can do? I would be stupid to leave my country to become an American citizen if it weren't, right? So, don't let people fool you into believing that people who try to make things better or criticize something to make it better mean that they, somehow they're the enemy. They're not. Okay, Brian, we talk tomorrow. I got to go to David, but thank you, brother. We'll talk. Let's go to David. Come on in, David.
Oh, thanks, Egberto. I heard there's a little of a discussion about whether or not Kamala's in trouble. She's clearly not. And what's ironic is that the Republicans have gone out of their way to take people off the voting lists. Mm-hmm. They're, of course, doing these voting purges, and they're trying to get the Democratic neighborhoods and regions and states. But when those hurricanes ripped through Florida and ripped through Georgia and ripped through South Carolina and North Carolina, those were predominantly red counties that got blasted apart. And just the other day, they went out of their way to make sure that there could no longer be an extension on registering to vote. So imagine you've been blasted out of your house in Florida or North Carolina or whatever, and you have to get a new address. And you cannot go to the voter registration office to note your new address. Are you committing a crime now because you're voting at a different address? So these old boys are probably some of the dumbest people in the world, and they're going out of their way to get their own people screwed. So it's sad, but it's ironic.
Yeah, it's ironic because they're starting to note that, and they're throwing commercials and ads all over the swing states to try to now convince people to do things they told them not to do before. It's amazing, but you nailed it, David. But thank you so kindly, my brother. You nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed it. All right.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good one, brother. All right, folks. Sure. Look, the next subject that I have is billionaire investors are really causing the housing crisis. And for Richard that called earlier about, the complexities of the billionaire, whatever, man, I really wanted to cover this in detail, but I don't have the time to do so. So I'm just going to give some highlights, and then I'm going to cover it on my 3:00 show. But this is a very important subject. One of the things that a lot of politicians are getting nailed for is how high rents are going up. And again, that is a cause, not because, remember earlier on when we spoke about the price of oil, and I said the price of oil was simply corporate greed, that the truth of the matter is we never had an oil shortage. The same thing is happening in the housing industry. Kamala talks about building a few million homes, which that she needs to flood the markets with homes to stabilize prices. But you know why the prices need stabilized? Because billionaires and REITs and these other financial instruments are buying up blocks of homes. They're, as an example, LA has 36,000 unhoused people living on the streets. There are over 93,000 homes held by the investor class. Think about the match right there. Technically speaking, you don't have to build anything. The supply is there. But because we have a class of people that can buy that up because they have capital, hold on to it, just like they held on, just like Saudi Arabia hold on to the gasoline or to the petroleum to make the prices go up. That is a supply and demand, Same thing the billionaires are doing with the housing market. And we're not talking gentrification here. We're talking just holding properties off the market so that prices would rise and the value of their portfolio simply goes up because they're rising the prices to the rest. So my brother Richard, who called in, when we talk about the complexities of how the different forms in which billionaires make money, every single form that they make money is screwing the average American citizen. And that is how they do it with rents. That is how they do it with food. The farmer is not making a lot more money. It's the capitalist. It is the capital, the guy who has the capital that makes the money. As the farmer is milking his or her cows, as they're cutting the corn, all of that, they're making the same subsistence living, while the movers of markets, the ones who have the capital, the billions, are profiting. All I am trying to do as a host with a platform is to let people know the reality of what's going on. And, I've written about this stuff a whole lot, research about this stuff a whole lot. And we have I've learned from others of how things work. Richard Wolff is one of the great economists out there that is willing to tell the truth. There are a lot of good economists. Robert Reich is a great economist, but he won't tell the complete story because it bucked the system. And I love Reich. I've interviewed Reich a whole lot. But it's important that we actually know the reality, and then we as a people can do something about it. Okay, I only have like 3 minutes. I got to finish pitching. All the rest of the show now is pitching, folks. We're done with actual stories. I'm going to talk more in detail about the billionaire stuff on my 3:00 show. Now, here's the deal. Here is the deal. Please, KPFT needs your support. We need your support. You are not doing this, supporting us just for you. You're doing it for our society and what we have as a society. And this isn't hyperbole. Unless you have people out there truth telling, informing, there is a class, a predatory class, a parasitic class that's out there to take whatever they can get from you. In fact, this economic system was designed on the concept of whatever the market will bear. What that means is whatever the hell I can take from you. That's the predatory nature of the economic system. The only thing that balances that is you. And how do you balance that? We, the people, create a government that prevent the predatory nature in those who are predatory and parasitic. We, the people. We, the people. And how do we, the people, come together to do that? We have to be informed. We have to be empowered. Well, we are already empowered. We still have a fairly democratic democracy, but we have to be empowered. And we can only do that if stations like ours can get the job done. And to do the job, we need you. So please give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1, and donate, provide whatever you can. If you have deep pockets, thank you. Use your deep pockets and help. please do so right now in the name of Politics Done Right. Use your deep pockets. If you have extra, we're not trying to take your money. We're trying to make a more equitable society. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org, hit that donate button. Let me run to Sandy now, then the studio, and then we got to close this baby out. But please keep donating. Please keep supplying. Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto. And again, we're just a little bit short of our goal, looking for a couple, 3 more people to step up and support this program before we cut to Democracy Now! Egberto, thank you for what you do. Folks, thanks for listening. Keep on supporting. And we've got lots of programming coming your way today on KPFT.
Studio.
713-526-5738, option 1, 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. Studio.
Yes, sir. I was sitting here thinking yesterday we were off the air because of tower maintenance. What about if we went off the air because we couldn't pay the bill?
Wow.
That would be awful. I'm the one who pushed the switch to make it go off. I thought, man, this is just for tower maintenance. But the specter on my shoulder said, what if they don't pay the bill? What if we can't pay the bill? I would have to do that. And I don't want to do that. I want KPFT. When I got back in my car after the transmitter was off, there was no KPFT. I thought, oh no, this is awful. This is what would happen if we don't pay our bills, if we don't reach our goals, if folks don't donate to the station. I would have to go turn the transmitter off, and that would kill me. That's it for me. Egberto, take us home. We're going to join.
Jack doesn't have anything to say?
Nah, he says no.
All right. Anyway, folks, look, thank you, Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia, Shakula hairstylist. Thank you for being here. Thank you, all of you in the chat. Billy, Allison, Irwin. I forgot to acknowledge you guys, but I got to get out of here. Love you all. Remember, the rest of the show is at KPFT, at politicsandright.com/newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics and Right, comes from politicsandright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.